Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. Take like 300. Okay. Hi, I'm Blythe. This is my I keep sitting down to record this and everything just keeps going wrong. This happened to me the end of March before I decided to take a break for April, and everything just kept going wrong. I felt like I was losing it, and I still feel like I'm losing it. So my April was not relaxing. My April was not rejuvenating. My April was a trash fire. I took a break from my podcast in April. I took a break from my YouTube channel in April. I took a break from all my hobbies in April. My room is somehow worse. I still feel like I'm drowning somehow. I do feel better. I don't feel as crazy stressed as I did at the end of March, but I feel like I'm drowning in a different way. April was just like fire after fire after fire that I had to put out. My April was supposed to be very work hard, play hard, where I was going to work a lot and then I was going to go on vacation. Ended up being none of that. My April started with a lot of work, and then my coworker got COVID and I got sick. I didn't get coronavirus, but I was sick with a cold, which just kicked my ass for some reason. I ended up not being able to work. Because I was sick, I wasn't really even doing anything at home. And I was also stressed. Then we drove 10 hours without a mask because we were in the car down to where we were gonna go vacation. We arrived, and immediately the person I was with tested positive for COVID. And so we had to turn around and drive 10 hours back.
I feel like I should mention that both me and my friend are fully vaccinated, and we both tested before we went on vacation, and she got her negative test back the day we left, and ironically that was also the day that she tested positive. So it was just bad luck.
It wasn't just a vacation. I was seeing family members that I hadn't seen in a while, and there was just this fear that we got them sick. And I had things planned right after this in April, a ton of things planned, and I also couldn't go to work because I had such a prolonged exposure, so I wasn't working. And instead, I also have OCD. I don't talk about it as much, but I do have OCD, and there was just a lot of OCD induced thoughts and actions and loops and patterns that I just couldn't get out of, and I ended up getting really paranoid, and it was just a really bad time. I prayed to everybody that I could, and I owe so many people offerings because I somehow managed not to get sick with COVID. Because what happened right after, I got a cold again, a different rhinovirus, I guess, and I got a sinus infection, which I'm still getting over 2 weeks later. At this time I'm preparing to going away for my other thing, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go or not. And there's just again a lot of paranoia and a lot of I wasn't at work, and I strive on structure. I need structure. I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. Everything was just crazy and out of whack. I ended up having an amazing time. I went to a LARP. That was the one good thing that happened in April. I was able to go to my LARP, even though I had stupid sinus infection the entire time, so I wasn't really able to sing, which is what I wanted to do. I wasn't really able to talk, but then there's a third COVID exposure. I had one good thing happen in April. And then on Sunday, God, it was only last Sunday. I was in the woods, didn't have much service, which was amazing and wonderful. I cannot overstate how much a blessing this weekend was. And it really made me think about modern mythology and making mythology. I'll touch on that later. But I wake up on Sunday and I have tons of Discord messages because there was, I don't want to say drama, there wasn't community drama because I feel like that's an understatement. Basically what happened is someone the community had trusted had been hanging around individuals, one of whom was a Nazi, and just learning about him and the things that he supported is just disgusting. And then someone who thought that people like him deserve voices at the table and were sympathizers, so aka no better than him at all. A community member had been hanging around. One part of my community, the more occult witchcraft side, has just been on fire. People I thought I knew unmasked themselves. And so that was like a really big blow, especially at an end of an April when everything, like the longest, I know, April felt like a year. And I just want to say this right here, right now, so I'm very clear. Nazis can fuck off. So can the alt-right. If you are sympathetic to them at all, you can also see yourself out. This is not a place of enlightened centrism, which I believe that people like that deserve a voice at the table. I don't believe that they deserve a voice at the table. Free speech doesn't include hate speech. Free speech doesn't include fascists. And I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. I feel like we shouldn't still have to say things like that, but unfortunately we really do, especially in the pagan community. Yeah, so that was my April. I am back, though. I want that to be clear. I am back. I'm hoping, praying that May is less of a disaster than April was, and that I will be able to regulate myself. April was relaxing in that, like, I joked with people, it's like, well, the gods knew what they were doing when I was pushed and felt called to basically shut everything down in April, because I don't know if I would have, I don't think I would have been able to handle it. I probably would have either burnt myself out even more, caused breakdowns, or I just would have rage quit. I am feeling grounded enough that I can continue to make content. And speaking of content, transition. I have a new camera. Still working out the little quirks. Well, it's not really the quirks of the camera. It's just I'm not used to these kinds of cameras. This is a manual focus and not an autofocus, which means that I have to learn how to be my own filmmaker, which I've done before, but I haven't done in a really long time. And I've pretty much only used things that have had an autofocus function. This camera is amazing. I've been saving up for, over 4 years. Finally, at the beginning of March, I think, yeah, I was finally able to afford this camera. Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Ooh. Ah. So I'll pop my kit stuff down below. I've always wanted to do more cinematic pieces. A lot of people have been commenting on some of my more cinematic pieces that they really enjoy them. It was always my intention from the beginning of this channel that I wasn't just going to be posting educational content. Now, don't get me wrong. I love making educational content. Like, I love doing the research. I love doing the deep dives. I also love filming. And the major that I was in college was new media, which is this, YouTube. I learned Premiere, I learned Photoshop, I learned how to code, I learned website design, I learned digital cinematography. And my thing in college was transmedia storytelling. Transmedia being when you tell a story over multiple platforms. So, like, my senior project included digital storytelling. It included a physical art installation, also had social media accounts, newspapers that I designed, etc., etc., etc. So I've always been a storyteller at heart, and I love telling stories, and that is ultimately, like, one of my biggest callings is the more artistic side of things. Partly why I've been including more vlog style and cinematic videos in my uploads is because I knew from the beginning, like literally I knew from the beginning before I uploaded my first video, that I didn't want educational content to be the only thing that I produced. I've tried YouTube many times in the past. I've said this before, I've tried YouTube since literally YouTube was invented. I've tried many different genres. And one of the genres that I've tried multiple times is more cinematic stuff. But I never found like an audience for it. And also, I was at that point where my camera that I was using was holding me back. It wasn't helping me, and it was hindering me, which is why I knew it was time for me to upgrade and why I've been saving up for so long. And I'm excited to be able to tell stories with something that will help me capture them in a way that supports them and doesn't overshadow them. So going forward this year, I want to do more modern myth making, more cinematic videos. It seems like those might take less effort. That's actually not the case. So my videos all told, including research, are probably around 30 hours to make one video. That includes everything from start to finish, from research, initial outline, writing the script, then filming, then initial editing, post-production, upload, etc. I would say around 30 hours. I would say my cinematic videos have been the same so far. The main difference is that, instead of spending 10 hours researching, I'm spending 10 hours doing shot design, spending more time editing the script into something that is more story-like rather than something that is educational. And those also include voiceovers as well as a lot more intimate sound design. All stuff I love. I went to school for that stuff. That's all stuff that I love. So going forward, I want to do more of that. I also want to do more crafting videos. I actually have a couple of things planned. Most notably doing sculpture design. Something that I noticed that was different in April than any other month that I've been doing YouTube. I've been doing YouTube since May 2021. Is that as much as I research, and research is part of honoring the gods, that is true. That is very much true for me. I don't know how to describe it. I can research Hecate all I want and still not worship her, which is very much the case how it is for me. For me, research is not the same thing as worship and doesn't necessarily make me feel the closest. The thing that makes me feel the closest is art, whether that's song, something physical. And to me, that is where the gods reveal themselves the most. And something that happened in April, I had never felt so desperate that I literally got down on my knees and cried and begged the Theoi for something. And it was in that moment afterwards when I realized that, offerings are well and good, saying hymns are well and good, researching is well and good, but ultimately the religion is about your relationship to the Theoi. It was in that moment that I really reflected, and it really made me reprioritize and relook at myself and how I interact in this religion. So I really want to show more crafting videos of me actually engaging in my practice and not just talking about history. I love history. I do history part-time. I used to do it full-time. And I don't even need to do it part-time, but I do it part-time because I love it so much. But I think it's important sometimes for people to see those intimate moments, to see parts of your practice instead of just informative, because it helps you learn how you might want to incorporate certain things into your own personal journey. My educational content is not going away. I don't think I'm ever gonna get rid of it because that's not interesting to me. I love the educational content. That's why, again, I do it. And I found myself, if I was doing educational content bi-weekly, which I don't understand YouTubers who do weekly. I feel like, are you okay? Genuinely, are you okay if you do content weekly? Maybe it's just because I have a full-time job and a part-time job and also 900 hobbies. But I don't know. But yeah, so research, I want to get really ahead in videos so that way I'm able to have time to research. But yeah, I guess that's me. I guess I could do a year in review. I started doing a year in review, and then on all of those shots were out of focus, so c'est la vie. I think that's where I'm at, where I want to learn how to make things more personal. I've stopped caring. I've stopped caring about beginner, intermediate, advanced. I think those are meaningless, especially in a non-degreed system. Most Christians aren't going to label themselves as beginner, intermediate, advanced. And if they do label themselves, I feel like they would label it as beginner and non-beginner. I feel like those terms are kind of more useful. There is a definite defined time when you are a beginner, but I do not think there's a defined time between intermediate and advanced. I think they're kind of meaningless. Yeah, I just kind of had to re-examine what my priorities were, what my goals were, Anyway, I hope this video wasn't too rambly. I just wanted to do a quick update on my April. And then also kind of oh my god, it's been a year. And I've done YouTube, I had a break. I've had a couple breaks and random times where I miss my date or I push it off. But I am amazed and so proud of myself that I've been able to keep up with YouTube for an entire year. That has never happened before. I think a lot of it really has a lot to do with you guys. Like, for me, having ADHD, and a lot of people are like this too. I mean, human beings were built for community, right? We're built to thrive better when we have accountability. That is even more true if you have ADHD and you don't have an internal dopamine regulator, question mark. So to have you guys posting wonderful comments, which I try to respond to. I will eventually respond to every comment. It just takes me a while to, you know, get the motivation to do so. But yeah, a lot of it is you guys. You guys hold me accountable in ways like you're not... Everyone is very supportive, you know, no one is here like, you fail, you have to make a video. But it's just the fact that you guys keep coming back and keep leaving comments that helps me as an external metric to hold myself accountable, which encourages me to keep going. Thank you so much for this past year. And I'm sorry this video was a little bit of a downer. You know, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry this video was a little bit of a downer. Because that's the reality of life, you know. Can't always be chipper. My April was crazy. And I'm hoping May is wonderful. I had an amazing Beltane. I hope you did too if you celebrate. Plants are blooming. I'm starting to plant more flowers for the summer. And I'm really excited to see what this year brings in spite of the rocky start that I had. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around. And I will see you all in the next one. It's going to be a special one. Thank you again.